Let's talk about end time prophecies. Before we do, I want to give a little bit of a preface to who I am. My name's Logan. I'm reading through the whole Bible this year with you in hopes that we can grow in our love of Christ together, because I really do believe that reading the Bible can change your life just like it changed mine. Now, I am not an expert on end times prophecy. I wouldn't even claim to be. I honestly haven't done an insane amount of study into it. I've listened to a couple podcasts. I have, of course, read the whole Bible myself, but I haven't spent a major amount of time reading books. It's never really been something that's truly interested me to a depth that I think it should have. But with that being said, I want to give a little bit of understanding into some end times prophecies. Now, in the book of Ezekiel, I know, a funny place to start, Ezekiel 28:3, it says, "Are you wiser than Daniel?" And this is Ezekiel, he's talking to the king of Tyre. Obviously, the prophet Ezekiel had a lot of respect for Daniel. And Daniel was probably the wisest man to have lived during his time. He was probably the wisest man on earth when he was alive. But Daniel, in Daniel chapter 7, verse 15, it says this, "I, Daniel, was troubled by all I had seen, and my visions terrified me." When you start thinking about end times, most people would like to flip to Revelation, maybe Thessalonians, but they rarely start with Daniel, which I personally think is a good place to start. Currently, we're reading through the book of Daniel right now, so I'd say I'm a little bit biased. But the second half of Daniel has a lot of prophecies about the end times. But what I love about Daniel is that his honesty whenever he's receiving these prophecies. A lot of people like to have debates over end times as if they know for certain that it's supposed to go this way. But depending on the version of the Bible you read, some versions say, "I, Daniel, was confused." So here we have on one hand Ezekiel saying that Daniel is one of the wisest men on the planet, and Daniel saying he's confused by receiving prophecies about the end times. In fact, he's so confused or troubled that he mourns over them for 3 weeks. See, the end time prophecies, what they're supposed to bring to us is a couple things. They're supposed to bring to us the realities of God's judgment, how God is truly going to judge the world for the evil that's in it, and he's going to purge the evil from the earth. This will happen. No matter who you talk to about end times, they're going to say something to you along those lines. The second thing that they should talk to you about is what follows up on that. It's that the hope of Jesus can be brought to the earth. See, we broke God's law, the 10 Commandments, but Jesus paid the fine. And the purpose of end times prophecies are supposed to bring us hope that this is not it forever. That when we die, we don't just go into a box in the ground, and that what we live in on earth, is not how it's always going to be. The evil that lives here on earth will not exist in heaven. So with all that being said, in this video, I'm not going to get into the details of end times, pre-trib, post-trib, mid-trib. My favorite joke with all of that is it's predetermined that midst the rapture, I'm post to go. So now I'm getting into all the minutia of the studies on end times prophecies, but what I will say is it reminds me of the parable that Jesus talks about with the watchman. Jesus uses this parable where there was a watchman at night, and he stayed up all night waiting for his master to come home. And if you go into the third world, where there's a lot of gated communities, and I've been in these, there are people that if you leave and you're the master of the house, your servant will wait up all night for you to come home, even until the sun rises the next morning. And they won't fall asleep if they're a good servant, because they want to be able to answer the gate as soon as you knock. What I love about this picture that Jesus sets up for us is that I think the end times prophecies, they are important. That's why God includes them in the Bible. And it convicts me as I read them that I should study them more and have stronger convictions on them than I do. But at the end of the day, they're supposed to bring us hope and actually unite us together as a body of believers. But too often I see them dividing us apart, which I do not think is their purpose. So I hope this gives you a little bit of encouragement as you read through the end time prophecies, to know that even Daniel, the person receiving some of them, was confused by them. And then their purpose is to give you hope and not confuse you. Remember, God says that I am not the God of confusion, but the God of peace. And these should give you peace of God saying, I'm so in control that I can literally tell the entire world what's going to happen, and I'm still going to bring it to fruition. Thanks so much for watching this video. If it helped you, please leave a like. It really does help the channel, and I'll see you back here later as we continue to read through Scripture together.